Good evening and welcome back to the Dwarven Fortress of Keskalokil, where I have cruelly cut that song off because it kind of pootles along for another 30 seconds of quiet noodling, which didn't seem entirely appropriate. So where were we? Yes. We had started tidying up after the first of the new style, well, first significant new style siege. And had the fun of rebuilding the pump to fill the goblin drowning machine, and then discovering that there was a dwarf in there, so we needed to get them out, which we did just by flushing the thing with water. We're now, I think, letting it drain a bit in the hope that some of the rubbish in there will also fall out. I think we are currently not draining this end of the river, but we have dumped an awful lot of stuff into this square. Which is probably why there's a dwarf in there, cleaning the blood off. Thought they might be collecting some stuff, but no. But we could probably mark, well, maybe we shouldn't start marking things as unforbidden just yet. And one thing that we're currently that we spent quite a lot of the last session complaining about is the way that none of my miners will do any mining. Pinkbee says, have we ever had Diggy Diggy Hole as dwarf music, and if not, why not? The primary reason why not is that I only put music I've actually paid for on here, so I would have to buy it, which has never seemed like a high priority to me. Hey, we had Groundwork, which was a K-pop song about digging holes, slightly surprisingly. Seb points out that I could do that. Yes, I could. And frankly, I probably should buy some more music at some point soon. So yes, I'm kind of hoping that some of the cruft in here will come out with the water, but it appears that pumping the water in has mostly pushed everything up to the right-hand side. In particular, when I say cruft, I include the corpse of a dwarf we'd like to bury. So, yeah, if that... Do I do something to make it possible for someone to get that out? I mean, we could have an adjustable bridge here that would make it reasonably easy, and yet... Adjustable? Retractable bridge, which will make it reasonably easy to get in there to get stuff if you wanted to. Yeah, let's do that, actually. I think it's fairly safe. All right, we can't do it at the moment because it's too wet. Okay. The dwarves are doing a pretty good job of burying people now. And I think we do just barely have enough tombs for everyone, because that one is still unaccounted for. Interesting that the various dead plants show above the water in this area. We have a new stray yak bull. That's nice. I don't think we want to be breeding yaks, though. Let's mark that for gelding. Don't know that it's strictly necessary to geld mules. Right, yes, so we're draining the water out of that. That's not an immediate wasp name. We're still being confused by the miners not mining. As far as I know, that square is a perfectly ordinary bit of mining requisition, as it were. Let's just make sure of that by unmarking it. Yeah, really, and then remarking it. Possibly it's high priority. If we go make this a maximum priority hole in the ground. Bloody hell, it's another forgotten beast. The forgotten beast Tostra has come, a towering one-eyed shrike. It has 3 long hanging tails and it undulates rhythmically. Its dark chestnut feathers are long and broad. Beware its poisonous vapours. Right, okay, I'm glad we're not in the caverns. Right, so I've now tagged that as please dig this quite urgently, which might help.
Presumably those two forgotten beasts are going to encounter each other, and then you'll only have one forgotten beast.
It's a shrike, which I think is a kind of bird.
Usually, yes.
So, yes, we need that to finish draining before we can build that bridge and thus get that corpse out. There is, yes, a slight problem that that all of this area is draining through one square, so it might take a little while before it's actually possible to remove anything. Maybe we just give up and build a memorial slab instead. And possibly that dwarf has already had like their one of their teeth buried, and so all is well. There was a dwarf wandering around here and I've lost them. That kind of worries me. Oh no, there they are. Right, what are you doing? Nothing. Okay. Yeah, maybe we should find their tomb if they've got one. Mural Osek Tekud. Mural Osek Tekud is buried here. In that coffin, which currently contains, I think, 2 teeth. Yes, excellent. So I think Mural Osek Tekud has technically been buried. In that 2 of their teeth are in their coffin. So the fact that, what? This is too many forgotten beasts. This one won't last long though. The forgotten beast, Sanene Nekarani has come. I bet that was named by the elves. A giant blob composed of ash. It has 2 stubby tails and it has a gaunt appearance. And probably if you take it out in a stiff breeze, it will blow away.
Also, not a great deal of beware of its anything.
No, I think it's just beware of getting it in your eyes. Right, so I think we actually don't need to worry about burying this dwarf because I think they're already technically buried. So let's fill up the dwarf drowner. The dwarf drowner is not a dwarf drowner, it's a goblin drowner.
It's only a dwarf drowner if it goes horribly wrong.
Yes. So let us close the exit and pump the water into it. What's our mare want now? Leather armour. Look, what is the point of leather armour? No one wants leather armour.
Leather armor's not too bad for many purposes until your enemy has crossbows.
Yes, our enemy has crossbows.
That's it, then you're just going to die.
Well, no, we're not, because no one's going to wear this stuff. We're just making it because the mayor wants it. The mayor has this weird old-fashioned opinion that leather armour is worth having, whereas what we need is steel breastplates. Oops, that copper pipe section is the one we should have used to rebuild this pump, rather than hauling some pipe up from the depths of our storage fortress, whatever. Words. Icon words, really. What are you doing with that? Oh, you're dumping it. Well, why are you dumping it? Well, I mean, I'm not going to complain because, like, destroying unwanted objects is a useful thing to do anyway. Right, so now we're just filling this up with water properly. Surprised at the amount of mist this process is generating. Like, we're pumping water in, and we are in fact pumping water in. Like, this pump is operating in the correct direction, and yet it was generating mist and such around here. Also, there's like 2 dwarf corpses in the river. Well, there were 2 dwarf corpses in the river. Have they got? I don't think you can suck objects into pumps. So I'm a little concerned at where those. Oh, I suppose they're probably on the same square as other corpses. We really are going to need some mechanism for actually getting this cruft out of the river and getting this child out of the river. Oh, the pump is lowering the river levels and people are now wandering into the river to collect objects. I mean, that's possibly not entirely unhelpful, but...
I mean, you did just say it would be nice to get all this junk out of the river.
Yes.
No, it's happening.
And like most people in this fortress can swim, so they're probably not going to be in terrible trouble when... I mean, where's this water going? Because like this area is almost completely full. Do pumps destroy water when they're even when they're not successfully pumping any? Surely not. Well, let's see, it's almost filled now. So that pump is now definitely doing nothing. There is nowhere for the water to go. Is the river now filling up again? I think it probably is. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's actually that we had emptied the river, and therefore it stayed empty for quite some time until the water got back in there.
It's curious that it's deeper at both ends than in the middle.
Well, that's where we sucked the water out. So we reduced this square down to 0 depth repeatedly. And then and thus all of the stuff got washed into that square. So obviously now what we need is a mechanism for just draining that one square. Anyway, we can stop operating the pump now. We've demonstrated that it doesn't pump indefinitely, doesn't move material even when there's nowhere to put it, and all of this area is now full of water, and the goblin drowning machine will thus happily drown goblins again.
Until it's next sabotaged by a cave dragon.
Yes. So there are now questions of... Oh good, we've got a hole in the ground here finally. Right. That means we can probably empty that minecart of magma and then send it back around and see what we could do with it next. So let's add another, no, not another minecart, another stop. There. And then reopen this window so the stop ends up in its correct place. Right, and then we can make the condition there be guide east immediately always, which should cause it to automatically be guided to here where it will be emptied, and then from there we just want push off west immediately always. Well, I mean, or when empty, but it hardly matters. Right, so that should, if I've got that right, get that minecart emptied into this hole and then sent back around again, assuming that is that all the minecart tracks are still functional. Well, the damp bits are not obviously non-functional. There is quite a lot of like random rock lying around on the tracks, but I think that's safe. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. Right, here is someone guiding our minecart full of magma to its destination. Oh, hang on, that's not going to work. If we push off west, it will just go straight past that junction and end up crashing into this tree, which is no good at all. So we want guide west immediately, but not all the way down. So then we need to add another stop, which will be somewhere around here, which will say which will then be push off west immediately always. Because we need it to be guided past these, well, at least past this junction. But now we have 2 units of lava there, which isn't quite enough. So that will then be guided back to somewhere along here. I hope, if I've got this right. Where did I put that stopping point? There, apparently. So that now is, yes, they're ready to be pushed off. I mean, I think we can actually build a magma forge with that hole there, just it won't work until we put the next batch of magma in there. Slightly concerned with the way that I can't now see that magma from the floor. Oh, because we're now building a forge on top of it, of course. Yes, that's fine. Right, so how is our attempt at constructing a bolt thrower going? It exists. Excellent. Right, let's work out how this works then. No, of course there's no handy mouse over text for any of these. Right, so that indicates what... So, first, it looks like a single square O circumflex. I think when we placed it, it looked like it was 3 by 3 squares, but I think the actual object is 1 square, and then people stand on the back side of it when firing it. And it contains a bin and some chain, and yes. So my guess is that that's fire. I would guess that's load, and maybe that's practice. Not sure about that. Or is that train and that's something else? Because I feel one of the options should be just get someone up here and have them hurl bolts in front of them in order to get used to operating the machine. One should be kill everything in front of this. One of them should be actually get enough bolts into it that it can be used for something. So let's try setting... Oh, right, now it tells us. Right, yes. Not in use. Keep loaded. Stand by. Practice fire. Brackets uses many bolts. Fire only at enemies. So let's start by loading it. Possibly something we want to do is to unforbid all of the vast quantities of random crossbow bolts that are probably lying around. There's an option to fold that up, is there? I can't just go... Oh, I can. Excellent. Right. I presume it only takes bolts, and therefore arrows are of no use at all, and are best used by melting them all down. Except for the ones made of wood, which are even more useless. Right. So there are 995 bolts nearby, allegedly. So let's see if someone... I mean, I don't know who we would... Do we have, like, siege engineers at the moment? Oh, we apparently have someone who thinks it's their job to load the bolt thrower. And, like, I wonder how many bolts it can take. Because if it's going to be like a reasonably efficient Gatling crossbow, you're going to want like 100 bolts in it, I guess. Which is going to take a little while to find. Especially when you're hauling one bolt at a time. Possibly we're going to want a bolt stockpile nearby. Why are you going that way? That seems like a terrible way to get there. Like, I'm not even sure if you can get there that way. Yeah, I didn't notice the bolt thrower actually being built. It was sitting there as a thing that needed building, and then as a thing that had been built. Right, meanwhile, the minecart is now back down at the bottom, filled with magma again. Good. And there is a task to bring it back up. So anyway, where's the person who's trying to load this thing? Because I think they were going the wrong way. All right, they're now somewhere else. Are they like going to collect more than one crossbow bolt? Or just taking a really stupid route? I don't know, they're going into the drainage system to find more crossbow bolts, I think. Ah, right, yes. So they are quite efficiently going around collecting crossbow bolts. Right, we've now got all those rock coffins we asked for, so let's install those. And you're now there stuffing bolts into the bolt thrower, and now wandering off again. And now constructing a building, possibly that forge? No, the magma forge is there. We just need that to get filled. So now if I inspect this, it has 118 bolts loaded into it. Rather curiously, while there is a bin built into it, the bolts don't actually appear to be in the bin. Right, so okay, let's see what happens. Let's say stand ready. And see what happens. Has that now gained us a new and exciting thing? We have gained a fire bolt thrower task. I didn't actually ask you to fire it, but still. Seb says, where is it? Please point it out before firing. So here, this little O circumflex is the bolt thrower. And like a random bone carver is going to come and have the first go with it. I'm going to like go, is there anyone within plausible being shot by this range? If not, let's try putting it in right. Shooting mode. Let's wait for this dwarf here to not be in the way. Right, and that magma forge is now usable. Right, okay, so shall we try setting this to training mode? I'm going to pause first. Practice fire uses many bolts. See how fast it uses bolts. Right, that's quite a lot of bolts. Let's stop firing. Also, that's a way to destroy crossbow bolts. Those completely left the map.
Nobody cares if they're piled up in a heap off the map.
Right, so that's... And as I understand it, these things can be aimed. Haven't even yet... Oh no, is this counted as a combat task? Yes. Now a dabbling siege operator, having tried that a bit. You need a wall there to catch them. I think my current position is that for active use, it's fine if we lose the bolts that miss the goblins. But I think we're going to now want to have a bolt thrower training area. Possibly we're going to want to stop turning bones into bracelets, of which we have far too many, and start turning them into crossbow bolts, so that we can run bone. Indeed, conveniently we have this. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do it there. Yeah, we have this pile of archery targets here. If we make this area a bit safer, we could install a bolt thrower here, and then train up some people. So let's make some more bolt thrower parts. 10 is a stupid number of them to make, given that you use them in threes. Let's make 6. And that will mean we can build one more practice bolt thrower. So now, do we have a new load task, or is the loading level 100 or something? Because 100 bolts ain't going to last long. So could I now set up down here a small stockpile dedicated to ammunition, but not metal ammunition, and only bolts? Allow bins, because that's how you store ammunition. So I think we're, given the rate at which these things eat bolts, if we're going to use them, we're probably going to want a bolt stockpile next to them. So it looks like these squares are not treated as being part of the bolt thrower. So does that mean that I could, like, set up a stockpile here? That contains bolts only of metal. Don't care what metal, but most of them will be iron or copper. Did that actually, it was number 86, wasn't it? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Right. And yes, we should remove the task that's turning spare bones into bracelets. So that was just set to unrotten bone body part available greater than 15. So let's remove that task entirely. And actually we'll just do it in this. Let's assign it to a particular workshop. Make bone bolts with the same condition. Right. Oh, I need to be a bit careful about that minecart, don't I? Because now that that magma forge is usable, we don't actually want to move to put any more magma into it. Instead, probably want to stop any works going on in this forge. So the easiest way to do that is just to forbid the entire forge. You only have one forge down there? Yes, I think so. We had lots of smelters, but only one forge. Right. And meanwhile, following our usual procedures, we should demolish that track stop and then demolish the track underneath it and then build a wall across it. So there aren't any store item in ammo stockpile tasks, but possibly those are going to be dealt with by bins. Yes, there's a bin, currently empty, but now someone can probably the child who is doing a pile of store item in bin tasks can now do that. Right, and we are starting making bone bolts. And because we have a terrifying bone carver, they're making bone bolts in quantity.
Looking out of all the spare giant hamsters.
Yes.
Clearly useful after all.
And well, if they ever stop making bolts, then we might have to start disarticulating more hamster skeletons. So we don't quite have enough parts for a second bolt thrower yet, but we are working on the next bit. And then we probably want to have a work detail of siege engineers if we don't already. Okay, siege operators properly. Though actually I think it turned out to be, oh no, and we do actually have a talented siege operator. So let's get them in first so that they can practice a bit. Have we used all the giant hamster bones in here? I think so, yes. So probably someone is now going off to find more bones. Oh, I should probably set the silent smiths not to be permanently training anymore, because their purpose was to get people to learn to swim, and I think we've dealt with that. On the other hand, I don't know what to do about military training in general, actually. Right, now we probably have enough parts to make a practice bolt thrower. So yes, here it appears as 3x3, but actually you'll notice it doesn't complain if I try to put it in a wall, as long as the central square is accessible. So we could probably install 3 bolt throwers here if we really wanted to. I don't know whether it's worth making it a decent range back from the wall. Let's see. Need an empty bin. We don't have enough empty bins. How very silly. Let's just make a batch of wooden bins. Are we okay for wood still? We'll have to cut down another tree at some point, but we're doing okay for now. "25 masterpiece giant hamster bone bolts." So presumably at some point someone will start putting them into this bin. Where are you going with that book? You're going to a meeting, are you? Okay. There's a lot of cruft in the river around here. We should probably drain this bit of river. Drain E. Let's open drain E briefly. This is producing quite a lot of masterwork bolts. Good. Sadly, we probably can't turn goblins into practice bolts because they're the dwarves have a thing about not turning sentient creatures into or sentient people into carved items. No one has yet actually made any wooden bins. What's our? Have we? Does that mean we've got too much restriction on who can carpent? Oh, well, everyone is currently a carpenter. That's a bit silly. Not that that's going to make it more efficient, but well, it'll make it more efficient. Won't make it quicker to get it done. Almost certainly. Well, okay, I suppose that's quite a good name for a cat. Tirist Kerkatten. Are we accumulating like an enormous number of store item in bin jobs somewhere? Not clear. What are you storing in a bin? You decided you need to go over there to find crossbow bolts or something. Possibly we should open the west gate just to make this a bit simpler for you. If you are actually trying to collect crossbow bolts. Who knows what you're trying to collect? Something round the corner, I expect. Yeah, we should open the west gate to make this a little less faffy. No, you're hauling some copper chain leggings to the other side of the map. How helpful. Let's open the west gate and generally improve the connectivity while we wait for the next siege to turn up. Right, how are we doing at draining that patch of river then? I was kind of hoping that these dead goblins would move. Oh. That seems kind of unfortunate. Like, we seem to be flooding an area that probably shouldn't be being flooded. What's going on there? So that's the drain, and it comes down here where there is the bauxite floor grate, which catches all the rubbish. Sorry, the valuable goblinite. Then that's a simple hole in the floor. And then we land in this room. So I presume there was originally like a horizontal channel here, which then carried the water over to here, where it kept on going down. Except that now someone has gone and like mined all this area out, and it now floods horribly. I mean, it's probably no worse than it was. Still all pouring nicely down that grate, and a little bit down the staircase next to it, which will then eventually end up here in the drainage system. It's not that bad, but it is a bit silly. Oh well. We can probably canalise it a bit later. All right, the problem is that a lot of this rubbish is stuck behind pillars which divert things a bit. Let's try opening B and D as well if we can. I think there's a slight problem that one of these has lost its lever. Maybe it's drain D that's lost its lever. We could also lower the north bridges, which will make getting in and out a bit simpler. Right, that's now sucking water out there a bit more effectively. And so all the objects in the river are actually ending up in the traps. In particular, a bunch of crossbow bolts getting sucked down there, which will be good, because then we can use them for things. Right, that's that section of the river more or less cleaned now. So we can close drains E and B. And then this stupidly large quantity of objects can be, well, some of them at least, removed. In particular, I think the goblin skeletons then become refuse because they're inside the fortress. And so do actually get dumped, which is a bit messy, but probably not actually a bad idea. Right, so now we should be able to, presume we can't build a wall there yet. Oh, apparently we can. Well, let's just build a wall there. Lots of copper bars nearby. Have we made any bins yet? Looks like we might have, yes. Yes, right. So now I should be able to build this bolt thrower, maybe. Um, right. Someone will now come along and build that in due course. So what's our current smelting situation? So I think we've still got like coal and coke and stuff all down here, and we probably need to actually move our entire hot works upwards. So in particular this one, we are now melting material elsewhere. So I think we can just remove that. We currently have that which has work orders for turning any spare bituminous coal or lignite into coke, with settings that basically mean if we've got the stuff we should use it. But obviously we really want that now to be done on the surface. Well, I mean, it need not be the surface, but that's where we've conveniently got means of transporting magma. So we could construct a another. I'm just thinking, what shape do we want to make this? Maybe we should actually like have, because the thing is, I've put these walls around these, so that no one will root through the one square that contains magma. Though that does also mean they're only accessible from one side. So I'm now going, how do I lay these out in a way that still causes people not to root through the square that contains magma, but that actually allows people to get to bits of them easily. I suspect I'm just going to end up with a mess whatever I do. Seb says, see checkpoint 2 for how good an idea that was. Yes. I think we'll put another. So, I kind of want to put it here so it can easily be accessed from that smelter, but because we're going to, but you know, I don't think it's a serious problem if people have to walk around a bit carrying coke. So let's mine a hole there. Yeah, no. One square to the right of that. There. For installing a smelter here. Good night, Claire. What are you doing? Oops. Nothing, okay. So someone is constructing this bolt thrower, which probably involves a lot of hauling items around, given that it's made out of 3 parts plus a bin plus a chain. I'm now wondering if we should like have a waterfall in places where people are likely to get stressed, like the bolt throwers. Don't know. Yeah, I don't think. That's just a weird fight. Tearsal Peregrine versus Grizzly Bear. Right, and we now have another bolt thrower.
I mean, that seems like the grizzly bear would win if Tearsal Peregrine was stupid enough to stay nearby.
Yes. So let's now set up another bolt thrower there. Oh, and someone's constructing that one as well. I think the bin's probably the last item that's needed, so I think this one will be finished soon. Oh no, apparently not. Oh, is the chain the last item? Yes. No, the bin's the first item. Only the bin is currently installed in that one. Right, where are my bolts going? Because they don't seem to be being put into the stockpile I want them in. Let's find our giant hamster bone bolts. I mean, it's possible they mostly haven't gone anywhere, of course. Why are those bolts marked for melting? That's not sensible. We can use them now. Indeed, in general, bolts should not be marked for melting. Arrows, yes. Bolts, no. That's better. Right, okay, that's not helpful if they're all just... Possibly they are just piling up in the workshop and someone will at some point consider it to be their job to do something with them. Why are you moving slowly? Surely that bill and flask isn't that heavy. Or are you hauling a load of other objects as well? No. It's only got 3 units of apricot wine in it. Right, the chain has now been installed in the bolt thrower, in the practice bolt thrower. Yes, you keep having to go out and get bones, but the nice thing is bones come in big stacks. So like you brought in 23 bones and that will make like 100 bolts. We very briefly socialised and then went back to making crossbow bolts. I mean, I can kind of see why you would. Yes, so I don't think actually the fact that the crossbow bolts are, that the bones are stored somewhere distant is a significant problem. What are you doing with that mechanisms? You're constructing one of our... Oh yes, because we store mechanisms out here for building weapon traps. On which subject we should build more weapon traps. Right, that was a good start. Right, and then here... build an additional smelter. Out of, well, I don't know that it matters much, anhydrite blocks. And then we'll want to build a kind of a wall around it to stop people falling into the magma. Since we have a lot of copper bars around. Not sure that's the right way to do that, but it's the way I'm doing it, so there. Oh, and track stop there for emptying the magma into the right place. Right, here's the rather slow moving mechanisms. Right, now we just need 3 bolt thrower parts, I believe. Oh dear, is that one of the ones in the tower? Do we need to assign another one to the tower? No. Possibly we do need to try to breed a few more. This is our dwarf who is, I think, building the bolt thrower, who is now getting quite thirsty, but might be organised enough to might be able to keep going and finish moving the bolt thrower parts into place. Hang on, why is a member of the Lardy Larks doing work? Have I got the Lardy Larks misconfigured? Yes, the Lardy Larks should be on constant training, which they then do none of. Now you've dropped the bolt thrower parts somewhere random, haven't you? But that's fine. Sure, someone else will pick up that job, and you need to be cheering yourself up. Hunt for small creature. Why are you hunting for small creatures? That's not actually a helpful activity. There's only one... Oh, has that bolt thrower got suspended or something? No. Has the other surface one been built then? Yes, excellent. Right. Load it, please. Bolts nearby and available, 3,387. Slightly uncertain why the available squads, assigned to squads number keeps changing subtly, but so here is the dwarf who is hauling the bolt thrower parts to make the practice bolt thrower go. Oh, is that the last part? So I think somewhere... So now my problem is that I really want that to be loaded with the right kinds of bolts, but we don't have a... an obvious way to do that directly. Now, right, yes, we now have a siege engines here, but that doesn't have a choose what kinds of bolts it should be loaded with either. So possibly I think actually, given that we have like 3,000 metal bolts anyway, let's just try marking it for loading and just testing it while we wait for people to start moving our ammo to the right place. Oh, someone's having a strange mood. It's someone making a another artifact mechanism. in the trees somewhere hunting for this small creature? Yes. Are you in the trees, starving and thirsty, hunting for a small creature? Possibly because you want to eat them, because you've got stuck in a tree. I think you might be. Well, I'll try to send someone to build you a staircase. Here is someone coming to build the staircase. Happily, the blocks are not very heavy, so they can do this at a vaguely reasonable speed. Right, meanwhile, we can now what I really want to do is to be able to reorder these. I don't think I can. Right, so that should now get that emptied and then sent back down again. Is loading officially only the responsibility of siege operators, I wonder? Let's try temporarily switching siege operators. These have names. They didn't have names visible before. That's much better. I mean, obviously correct, but let's now see if has that now caused right now. So it seems that siege operators are the only people who can load bolt throwers, which is obviously a bit of a problem if you don't have many of them. So I've temporarily allowed everyone to load bolt throwers, which will make things happen a bit quicker, though this one will probably be loaded with the wrong bolts. Yes, meanwhile, how are those staircases coming along? Not yet. Right, there's the first bit of staircase being built at least. Not quite enough to allow our lost dwarf to climb down, I don't think. No. Possibly, yes, now someone is building the downward staircase as well. Same person, in fact. You're sweeping up bolts, crossbow bolts from the railway up there. That's nice. In single quantities. And presumably someone is also doing the practice one, and is probably hauling entirely inappropriate crossbow bolts, namely ones not made out of bone. Yes. Oh well. A mule. It probably doesn't want to be there. It probably wants to be in the pasture. Though admittedly the mule wasn't actually labelled as a grazer, so maybe it doesn't need one. One thing we could do is we've got a few goblin cages now, I think. Thought we had. Yes. We could probably usefully set them up somewhere to release them, and then see how see whether we can hit them with the bolt thrower if they walk that way. Also got a captured beak dog. So goblin cages are copper, 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 and there's a beak dog in something weird. A beak dog in tin. Oh, and a beak dog in lead. What? No, that's not right. I needed to select precisely which copper cage I was going to build there. No, you don't need to type it each time, Ben. you're in build multiple things mode. Right. So where's the person who's building that staircase? Where are they? If we're following them, they should be in the middle of the screen. They haven't randomly given up. I'm confused. They're unpaused. Right, there they are. Okay, why are you stuck there? Are you for some reason unable to move now? Well, let's just suspend that task and unsuspend it and hope someone more competent comes along. It's like it is quite important to build that staircase. Actually, we can just say deassign that worker and see if someone else does it. Hope someone else does it. Is there some reason why you can't extract those microclimb blocks from that square? It doesn't look like it. Well, if it doesn't start working soon, I shall rebuild them with a different object, just to try to free things a bit. Okay, board now. What? I tried to cancel it and, oh yes, and then a different task turned up. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, there are some silver bars extremely nearby. We don't actually need the upstair though, because there's already an upstair there. We just need to build the downstair. Right. How is loading these bolt throws going anyway? Right, that one is loaded. Yeah, I think 100 is what they target having. So now let's switch. Is the other one loaded as well? Yes. So let's now switch siege operation to only selected do this, and randomly select a couple of other people to be siege operators, and then say of this one go into practice mode, and then like we'll see what that actually does by way of what happens to the crossbow bolts. Like, are they destroyed by this? Our peasant is trying to find their way to the bolt thrower. It's being foiled by all the animals, as is often the way. We should probably make it easier to navigate our dining room at some point. So you are a very slow moving person. We don't seem to have like a terribly slow moving trait anywhere here, but I don't quite know where it will be. She is clumsy. She might not be the best person to have operating a bolt thrower. Oh well. Practice will make, well, permanent at least. Why is that skeleton not getting dumped, hey? Right. Now, hurl 100 bolts into that target and see how you feel afterwards. And then we'll see how many crossbow bolts survived, if any. Right. So the consequence of that is that's destroyed all of those crossbow bolts. And she's got up to dabbling siege operator. Right, we really, really need to use bolts that aren't valuable for this. Right, let's switch that one back to not in use until we can ideally... Can we then...
I don't suppose you get to give bolt throwers names.
We do, yes.
Call one reason.
Yes. Sadly, we can't set a bolt thrower as a target for a stockpile. So we can't say that that bolt thrower must only take from this stockpile. Not that the stockpile has any ammo in it at the moment. For reasons I, to be honest, don't understand. Meanwhile, let us watch this person building a staircase, which hopefully will let our lost dwarf out. Okay, something is wrong here, because this is now the second person who has picked up the necessary object to build the staircase and then gone, erg, I can't. I think the problem is that actually you can't build it through tree branches, and so we will probably have to build it up through the twigs further out. Right. And the problem is that they just get stuck there. Let's cancel that then and try building it in twigs out here. I'll demolish the old one. Right, so if we're now into a new season, there is a danger that a siege will turn up. There is no way I am trying to do a siege in my current state of vagueness. So if a siege does turn up, then we're stopping then, as it were. I should check on the state of this word, strange mood. And then we will see what else is going on. We'll finish saving eventually. Right, we've begun a mysterious construction. Excellent. A random mongoose has died. It happens. I think our tribute may turn out to be some clay. Let's temporarily unforbid this butcher's shop so that some of those newly arrived dead animals could be butchered. Might be unnecessary, might waste a lot of time, we'll see. We'll get you out of that tree eventually, probably. So we have an enormous quantity of bolts here, but they don't seem to be being put in these stockpiles. I got something stupidly wrong. We're allowing all qualities. Bone and wood, bolts. Looks good to me. Similarly, this one. Bolts in any metal in any quality. Why is that not being, why are those not getting filled? It's like, that's kind of important, and it seems to me like the best way to ensure that we feed the bolt throwers with the correct bolts. Given that they will consume crossbow bolts without ethical constraint. Oh, is there a give relationship on this Craftsdwarf's workshop? No. Right, that's a freshly created stockpile. It shouldn't have any weird properties. Takes from everywhere. It can have up to 9 bins. Doesn't take from anywhere in particular. Yet no one seems to be trying to store anything in it. Do I need to... Sometimes this kind of thing turns out to be you need to turn people on and off hauling. Doesn't seem to have helped. Those are all now linked up to, are ready to be linked up to a lever. This is the usual lever for that job. Right, so is someone now building the downstair to go with that? Yes, but only very slowly, or indeed not at all. Oh no, I'm paused, that's why they're not moving. That's fine. We've made limonite mechanisms. Named Dented Tunnels, the Quickness Festival of Proliferating. The limonite mechanisms, all craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with rectangular limestone cabochons and encircled with bands of round limonite cabochons and billen. This object is adorned with hanging rings of giant blue jay leather and billen, and menaces with spikes of tiger iron and sea otter leather. On the item is an image of 3 brown bullheads in cave spider silk. On the item is an image of Thob Blaze Basements the dwarf in tiger iron. Okay, we'll probably use it to make a trap. I was wondering why there were a load of statues in the sea, but it turns out they're jellyfish. So, yes, I am kind of confused about that as well. About why... Oh, there's someone coming on to deal with it, I think. No. About why that thing isn't being moved, why that vehicle isn't being pushed, but I think push track vehicle is always a rather low priority, and why we're never managing to put crossbow bolts in stockpiles, which is problematic unless we start engaging in really silly activities with forbidding items. Like, we could forbid all of the metal crossbow bolts and then load the practice thrower and then use it and repeat, and then unforbid metal bolts when and only when there are actually enemies around, which would kind of work, but I'd still prefer to have the ammunition stored next to the live bolt throwers, if I possibly could. You've brought us 5 strawberries and a zinc cage, thank you. I do sometimes think that the tribute is sarcastic. I mean, possibly we're just in a, like, everyone is too busy to haul crossbow bolts to the right place. Though on that subject, I should make hauling ammunition to the right place is now a high priority. So I should adjust this so that, if possible, I had hoped that ammunition would be part of it, but that's like item hauling, which is going to involve a lot of other hauling. Let's temporarily put that on, but I think that's probably just going to be annoying. But maybe that was it. Maybe it's simply that there are only 3 people allowed to move crossbow bolts around or something. How's the staircase construction coming? What? You're bringing up... Oh, you're meant to be bringing up green glass blocks, but like everyone else, you've got stuck. Right. I give up. Apparently we can't build this staircase wherever we try to put it. I mean, possibly we could do it if we put it outside the tree, but I'm going to go for the much simpler approach of just cutting the damn tree down. Assuming, like, anyone still knows how to use an axe. Yeah. Indeed. Yes, cutting tree down with highest possible priority. Oh. We have a woodcutter, but they're up the tree. I think they're also not like a woodcutter yet, but still. So what's Data and Akud Kadol doing? They're currently storing an item in a bin, which is a beak dog bone bracelet. See, people are willing to put bracelets in bins, but they seem to be less willing to put bolts in bins. Actually put in quite a lot of bracelets. No, those are mostly worn. Okay, why are you not going to go and do some wood cutting? Is it because you don't have an axe? Because your military roles preclude... No, there you have a copper battle axe, right? So is there any chance you could like go and cut a tree down anytime soon? I mean, you're heading in the right direction to cut the tree down. You just appear to be doing a different job. So I hold out some hope that you're suddenly going to decide that wood cutting is what you actually want to do with your day. No. You are persistently storing items, right? Yes, okay, we now have a lot of store item in bin jobs, almost all of them unhelpful. And this is ending up taking priority over cutting down trees. Let's take item hauling back off the agenda here. I think we're going to have to be more subtle about item hauling. So otherwise, we just end up spending all of our time hauling items. It's not helpful for someone to haul a single beak dog bone bracelet across the map. Now you're insisting on getting dressed. I'd like you to understand that someone is like dying out there because you refuse to cut trees down. What are you trying to store in a stockpile? A crossbow, that's nice. Still haven't managed to get anything in the... Oh dear, there's a ghost. Reg Tenisha Dushat. Right, let's organise ourselves around that. I'm sure someone will come out here and cut this tree down eventually, but I am getting scared. Or starving and dehydrated, and still no one is coming to do this. I'm going to try also building a staircase. Can we find somewhere where there's branches? Yeah, let's try, because you're on a branches square. That's a branches square immediately adjacent to open space. So let's just try. If I do it in the other direction, do I actually get a sensible ordering of things? Yes, that's better. Right. Now we hope that it turns out to be possible to build that staircase or cut the tree down. Either will be fine. You just have to get over there. The relevant blocks are very nearby, and ideally you build both halves of the staircase. Maybe I should build ramps instead of staircases for this job, because those don't involve going up into the higher levels of the tree, as in into the ground level plus 1 Z level. Oh, someone's coming to cut the tree down as well now, finally. Let's see which one finishes first. Right, they're building the staircase finished first. Yes, right, and it looks like they can get down. Let's cancel felling the tree then. Right, you have made it out of the tree. Now the question is, can you get home before you die? I mean, ideally you would go over to that convenient river there. Check standing orders. Or maybe it's not standing orders. I only prefer zones for water drinking, so I would hope that if you are desperately thirsty, you would just drink from the nearest water, i.e. the river. But we'll see. All right, yeah, you're going for eating first, are you? Maybe we should have got someone to bring some food out to you. I should snooze too fairly soon, but let's check that this poor woodcutter manages to come out of this alive. Nom 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 nom. Hungry and not starving anymore. Where are you going? Randomly using this dining room. And then annoyed at the lack of chairs. Further nomming. Right, no longer starving. Now to deal with the dehydration. Got a goblet. think we may be sorting this out. Right, our foolish woodcutter who got stuck up a tree has now managed to get themselves back into a decent state. We know the reason why no one is filling these stockpiles. It's because they qualify as item hauling, which is currently quite a low priority task because there are so many damn items, and we probably need to come up with a better plan for that. Now, you seem to be collecting crossbow bolts for some purpose. All right, you've reloaded that despite it not being marked for loading. Steph says, can you not refine items, only hold certain sorts? No, we just have items, and so any stockpile, and I've got far too many stockpiles set up to take like items that we don't really want hauled. Possibly what this requires is sitting down and sorting out the stockpiles properly, and disabling a bunch of them that we don't currently want to put things in, and so forth. Well, that will probably be quite an effort. Anyway, we have at least saved the unfortunate dwarf who was stuck in a tree. An elven caravan has just arrived, so I think this is actually a tolerably good place to stop, because it's give or take midnight. So I'm going to say save, because we've saved someone. We've built a bolt thrower, built 3 bolt throwers, and demonstrated that they are quite terrifying objects. I mean, then their bolts are going to be nowhere near as fatal as those from as the arrows from a ballista, but on the other hand, they do send them at quite some rate. So yes, it might work. We'll have to see. We want to find a way to train people, and yeah, that probably means getting. I mean, we could muck around with forbidding things. If we just forbid all metal bolts most of the time, then that will kind of work. But as I said, for the live fire in particular, we really want to be able to reload quickly. So I think we'll have to do something a bit more clever there. Anyway, that's all for now. I will say good night, and we'll see you on Friday. Good night.